So one of the big things which any business wants to do is maximize its addressable market. So if you sell these marker pens, most offices in the world can probably kind of buy them. And then actually, they're probably quite cheap to make, that you can send them around the world and really achieve scale. As where if you make, I don't know, perishable foods or cupcakes or vegetables, saying that they still get shipped around the world. Then again, so regardless of what product you kind of make or service, often when people set up, they focus on their core market. So it might be that I'm based in the northeast of England. When people first set up, they focus on the northeast of England. It makes perfect sense. And then likewise, you are a lot more likely to win customers within your local area and be able to service them really well if you're within a 20-minute drive or a 2-hour drive, that kind of thing. As you kind of grow a business, the more you kind of build your profile and awareness, and you absolutely 100% should focus on your target market first. You always want to, your focus and intent is so important that basically we all only have so many hours in a day, that focus on where you're going to have your low hanging fruit, your easy wins, and do that first, which will be your local market. So absolutely 100% do that. But when you've kind of saturated that, the potentials to sell your product or service around the world are huge. That actually of the 8 billion people in the world, only give or take 65 million are in the UK, which means that 99.5% of the world's population are outside of our borders, and they all might want your product or service. And so this week I've finished the Department of International Trade 2-day export kind of course, which was really cool. I have exported for quite a long time. I used to run a company which exported to 30 different countries. Some of my clients do the same. We send stuff all around the world. And actually, even with the roadmap here, we're in 29 different countries now, shipping to Brazil for the first time this week. And there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to kind of go at in terms of actually when you ship one of these, what's the code that you have to put on the form? What SIC code does it fall into? What's the customs duty? What's the delivery mechanism? Do I have to worry about getting paid? There's a lot of nuance to it, and if you're interested in that, if you Google it, it'll come up. I'm not going to cover that today, but what I am going to cover is the 10 different things that might be of interest. I'm going to talk around each one, and actually what I would love to do, just as a small part of this segment, is just inspire you to really think, actually, could I sell my product or service elsewhere? And just to spark that little piece of imagination, because the truth is you probably can, and then it's just start to think about it, and then there are lots of people there that will help you as well. So the first one is sales. So yes, you get the potential to earn more sales because you have more customers and more target markets around the world. That's a given one. People often focus on the huge markets, which, as you can imagine, would be the USA if you're based in the UK. But again, you have challenges that, you know, the UK is tiny, it's smaller than Florida compared to the USA. So likewise, it's almost treating it as 52 different states, and they will all have different cultures and the logistics and buying habits and stuff. And just it's physically massive of how you're going to get your stuff around and whatever. But just a simple thing of increasing sales and potentially getting more profit is something you can benefit from. A lot of exporters and companies that do export do become a lot more profitable. So that's definitely something to think about. The other one is reduce risk. So sales go up, risk goes down. Every market, and I've been hit by a few of them, has risk within it. So for instance, in 2014, 2015, I worked in the UK oil and gas market. And basically a lot of the work in the UK went through a town or a city called Aberdeen. And basically that's in Scotland. And when the oil price dropped off, that whole market kind of tanked. I got made redundant. Hundreds of thousands of people did as well. But the point is, if you have too many eggs in one basket, if you have sole reliance on one geographic kind of market, which could be the UK, or in one sector, which could be oil and gas, there's a lot of risk that if the oil and gas market tanks, will that take down your business? One of the benefits of exporting is that if you can also sell into still oil and gas, but you have the UK, but you have the Middle East, you have America, you have Brazil, and you have the Far East. What you're doing is mitigating your risk that actually work will hopefully still keep coming in. Even if something like Brexit happens, which affects just one region, it's a great way to kind of do that. In the course, we talk about how there's different ways to grow your business and actually grow into new sectors and geographies. and not extend your risk too far that it becomes a problem. And we kind of go into that on the course, but actually it's a really important thing to kind of think of. So staff. One of the big things at the moment around the world is the difficulty in kind of hiring staff. There's more jobs than there are people, but actually, how do you make people want to work at your company and get excited? I've been fortunate in a lot of my former jobs. I have been able to travel with it. I've been all over the world, to be honest, and it's quite cool. And the point is, if you export as a business, the ability to send your team to France, America, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, India, Australia, anywhere, it's career progression, it's excitement, and there are a lot of benefits to your team. They're actually just going and doing something cool and doing something fun, that as well as the economic benefits of earning more money, it's definitely kind of worth looking at. Next is ideas. One of the great things that you always see, and it's one of my favorite things, is that when you do travel to get inspiration, because it might be that you see an irrigation system in India that's designed for rice fields in China, which actually, like, we could use that as a lubrication system for our oil pump. People around the world have figured out different ways to do different things that you might not know of. And actually, when you go to Japan and you see some of the tech and the ideas and stuff, the ability to kind of use that back and build it into your own plan or your own roadmap is super valuable. Even just this morning, I was watching a Google presentation by Sundar Pichai, who's their kind of CEO. And he was talking about Google Translate and how with AI they've added new languages and it gets better all the time. That's important for me because, again, with the plan to try and make business education accessible to 5 billion people, languages is really cool. And to try and manually translate stuff, I know there's a lot of flaws with this, but I'm just saying, if in 5 years' time AI language translation is better than humans, which I could see happening, the ability for me to unlock the business and export to every country in the world and every language in the world is a lot stronger because of ideas that I will have got from other sources. And the point is, people that export do get exposed to kind of more ideas and that kind of thing. Competitiveness will go up. If you wanted to take your UK-based factory that currently services the UK, win more work in America, chances are you're going to have to scale up the factory and kind of do that. But when you do this, you get all the benefits of increased sales, the reduced risk, etc. But then basically scales of efficiency, when you've got a bigger entity and a bigger factory, it will become more competitive, which will help you in your home market as well. So it's really kind of worth looking at, thinking about that. The bigger you can build your machine, the better and stronger and leaner it will actually be, provided you do it properly, which will actually help you as well. So we've covered increased sales as well, greater exposure to ideas, we've done that, economies of scale, risk, and actually the last one, this is really important. And again, we talk about on the course about how for a lot of businesses, even Simon's old business, it's always really worth being aware of actually when you're busy throughout the year. If you have an international coach business, or you sell into oil and gas, or you sell Christmas decorations. Christmas is the funny one, so I'll take back the Christmas one, but you'll see where I'm going. When it's winter in Europe, it's often summer in the other part of the world. And again, vice versa. That likewise, if you sell suntan lotion, you're going to have great sales in summer and not great sales in winter. But the point is, in different parts of the world, as the world kind of rotates, those seasons do alternate. That actually, the more you can work in different areas, it can really make a big kind of huge difference. Likewise, if you do ski tours or whatever your business kind of is in oil and gas or renewables, it's really interesting because basically most of the installations actually happen over the summer, because actually that's when the sea states are calmer, the waters are easier to do work in. So it is a seasonal kind of business. So if you can spread your risk and make other stuff for other markets in other time zones, etc., there's a lot of stuff to do. So I won't kind of bang on about it, but actually in terms of exporting, there are a hell of a lot of stuff that you can really kind of do. It's not as difficult as you might think. You do definitely want to do your homework in terms of what is the target market, will people actually want to buy your stuff. The big one I think is actually to focus as in where do you focus your effort, because you can't really chase down your home market, which hopefully pays your bills, and 10 other countries, because it's too much to kind of do. So it's really important to kind of do it properly. Take your time, do your research, and then actually get help where you can, either from your local kind of Chamber of Commerce or Department of International Trade or whoever, and actually it's definitely kind of worth doing. If you catch this on YouTube, my name is Steve Pugh, please feel free to kind of reach out. If you're ever interested in growing in terms of your exports or reducing your risk or sales, please feel free to reach out with the Roadmap MBA. We are here to kind of help. And I'm going to go on to the last one today, but if you've got any questions, comments, anything, please feel free to reach out.